Well, at our 300th race in Turkey, so much of the team has evolved, but the spirit remains the same. I think there's only one member left in the garage that was there at the first race, Ollie Shack, working on the front end of Max's car. But yeah, the vibe, the passion, the music, that's all. That's still very much as it was in the first year of Red Bull coming into the sport. Well, when we first came into Formula One, I think people didn't take us particularly seriously. They thought, oh, Red Bull, they're the party guys and, they throw a good party, but they're not serious about going racing. And I think we've demonstrated over the last, 16 seasons that we're very serious about our racing. We've obviously done a lot of winning. We've won championships, we've won races. But we've kept that fun spirit. We've kept that DNA within the team and that zest for life and not being afraid to do things, differently, being a bit non-conformist with some of the OEMs that we compete against. So that side of the team and that DNA within the team has very much remained the same. There's so many moments, so many highlights. You could say the first win in China, the first podium with DC in Monaco, the first World Championship victory in Abu Dhabi, though, in 2010 against the odds is probably the one that stands out for me, the most of all of those victories. I'm incredibly proud that we've retained approximately 150 people that were here the day I started, right at the beginning in 2005, and they even go back further than that. There's people here that were here when David Coulthard was racing in Formula 3 when the team was Paul Stewart Racing. We've got Tony Burrows, Dave Boys. They've all been here huge amount of time, and it's great that we've got that continuity. It's great that we've still got that legacy of people that have stuck by the team and have passed their knowledge on to the younger guys and girls that are in the team today. Well, out of that 180 podiums and 63 wins that we've had so far, of course, they all mean so much. Those trophies, sit in our entrance hall now, and everybody's incredibly proud of them. And to pick one out is incredibly difficult. Obviously, the first trophy, was a very proud moment. The first victory, the first World Championship. But the most important one is always the next one. So that's the one that we're chasing, and hopefully to mark our 300th Grand Prix, it'd be fantastic to return home with a great big trophy.
Hiya, I'm Ollie Shack. I'm a front-end mechanic on Max Verstappen's car. I've been here since 2005. 2005, I was doing the front end of a race car. It was actually DC that was in. So yeah, it was a bit of a an eye-opener for all of us. We suddenly had the big DC coming from a top team like McLaren to us and start helping building us up. So yeah, I strapped him in for his first race and his last race. It's obviously the sport has changed a huge amount from what we are, allowed to do, how many engines we are running, how many gearboxes and all this. The team is pretty much the same because we were the first one with a proper energy station. We were the first one playing loud music in the garage, which we still do today, so many years later. And I think that's part of our DNA. So, but yeah, the sport itself has changed a huge amount, for sure. I think it's the DNA of the team. I've seen it grow, and I've seen highs and lows, but we get new people coming in and all that, and everybody have the same goal. We want to win. And I think we're given the right tools for it as well. So we're still a young team. The atmosphere is still young. Never mind, we're not a young team. We've been here for a lot of years, but we still feel like a young team. We're the ones setting the standards on a lot of stuff. And that's what I think motivates people. The most challenging moment I've had with the team is probably actually this year when we were on the grid in Hungary. We had a certain timeline that if you didn't meet that timeline, we were basically not starting that race. Massively satisfying for all of us. And getting a podium out of it at the end was the biggest reward we could have. There's actually more than one. It's so hard in such such a business here to mention one exactly, but there's no doubt that the lowest point I've ever been involved in was blowing up 10 laps from the end in Korea with Sebastian, and we thought that's a championship blown away. And then a couple of weeks later, to actually win the constructors in Brazil, what a high. And then the week after, we were not the one everybody was looking at. That was Mark Webber and Alonso. And then the week later, to actually end up, we stood on our own on the grid. There was no media around us on pole position. And then 2 hours later, be the world champion, the only time he led the race that year, or the championship that year. That was probably one of the highest one. And then seeing Max in his first race in here in 2016, winning Barcelona for his first race with us, that was pretty special. For me, to have done every single race for here is a bit of a privilege, to be honest, because not having any time off to, if you've been ill or whatever, you stayed fit and healthy. So yeah, it's been fantastic. And Christian still got his hair, I haven't, so I don't know what's happened. I think everybody was aware that what we wanted to achieve, but 2005 was such a transition year because all we did really was paint the cars that was green and silver before to blue and silver. But coming to Australia and got fourth place, or I think fourth or fifth place DC got, we were punching massively over our weight. And on the first 3 races, we scored more points than we did the whole year before. So already there, we knew that if we kept it consistent, kept developing, we could sort of move up the grid. And then coming to Europe, where we were the first one to put an energy station up, that was something people looked at. Oh, who are these boys? And it was a chill Thursday. Every team could arrive up there and after work and have like a little social gathering. It took a little while before all the other teams were allowed, but yeah, yet again, we set the standards for something new. Still one of the most down-to-earth guys that I've ever worked with. And to this day, he's not actually changed a hell of a lot because he's still the same that will come and have a chit-chat and have a laugh about various sort of stuff. But he came from what was at the time a very, very big team that was leading the championships and fighting for championships. And to step a little bit back and be involved in building this up and get the right people in the right places and given the feedback we needed to move forward. I think that was probably part of the reason why a lot of teams came here, people came here, because he sort of managed to convince people that he could see that we had the potential to go further.
My name's Will Courtney. I'm head of race strategy, and I've been here since just before Red Bull started. I joined the last year of Jaguar Racing, which was 2004. When I first started here, I think my job title, I was a systems engineer. And basically that meant looking after all the sensors and all the electronics on the car, making sure that that all ran correctly and didn't break down. So now as head of strategy, basically I sit on the pit wall and make the decisions in terms of when we make the pit stops, what tyres we fit and various other things to do with strategy on the race day and throughout practice and qualifying. So I share my role with Hannah Schmitz. We do about half the races each. And then when either of us isn't at the track, we're back in the ops room in Milton Keynes providing support to the trackside team. I have worked every single race weekend. The only race day that I missed was Hungary last year when my second-born son arrived. So almost a full sweep, but not quite. I'd say from a strategy point of view, it's changed immensely compared to what we were doing back in 2006 when I started doing this job. Back then, we were just reading lap times off of a TV screen. Now we've got digital timing data, we've got GPS data, video feeds, we've got all the driver radio for all the other drivers. We've got so much information that we can listen to now and process. Well, I mean, I think some of the best moments are our first race win back in China 2009, then winning the championship in 2010. That was obviously a very exciting time for us. But I think all the talk now is about artificial intelligence and machine learning and all those sorts of big data type processes. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that affects the sport. Maybe in 10 years' time, my job won't exist because computers will be doing it for me. I don't know. I hope that's not the case. And I think there's a lot that is hard for a computer to understand that a human can, but it's certainly shifting more and more in that direction now.
My name is Phil Turner. I'm Chief Mechanic at Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. When Rebel Racing first formed, my job title was a number 2 mechanic on the race team. Since I started, I've worked my way through the race team ranks and through the support team ranks. So I was from a number 2 on the race team, I went to a number 1 on the support team, and from there I was a chief mechanic on the support team, and then ultimately now I'm the chief mechanic on the race team. From when I first started, this place is massive compared to what it was. When I first started here, it was one building 1, and now we have something like 9 buildings. I think initially we had something like 300 people, and now we're probably upwards of 800. So yeah, it's a big difference from when I first started back then. The feeling's the same. I mean, for a big team, we're like a small family community, really. Everyone gets on really well. The atmosphere is really good, you know, between the guys on the race team, between the guys on the race team and the people at the factory. It's a really, really good place to work. My proudest moment was probably Hungary this year, for us to get him in the race. And you know, when we got to the car, the amount of damage that it had on it, I didn't think we really had much of a chance to get him out there. But the guys just, you know, did an incredible job, fantastic job. I'm so proud of them still now for doing it as quickly as they did. And yeah, I think that was probably the highlight of my career so far. My first trackside moment racing was, at the time I was on the test team, and one of the guys on the race team was ill, so I had to fill in for him, and that was at the German Grand Prix. I think it was back in 2002, I think. And the drivers at the time were Pedro della and Eddie Irvine, and I was on the T car that weekend, so that was yeah, quite an experience. I think the biggest difference from when I first started in F1 is how complex the cars are now. I mean, you look back and at the time you think, wow, these things were really, really difficult to work on. But compared to what they are now, they're just, yeah, it's night and day, to be honest. These modern day cars they're more like space shuttles or aircraft than racing cars.
My name is Tony Burrows, and I am the support team manager here at Red Bull Racing. We've done some fantastic events for Red Bull Racing over the years, especially ones that stand out the most are Ladakh in the Himalayas, with Neil Yarney driving the RB1, which is a fantastic event that was. We also did a run on the frozen lakes in Quebec with Sébastien Buemi, and along the beach in the Dominican Republic. So they're all standout events and really challenging in their own way. The spirit has always been there, right back to the Stewart years, but became magnified when we came to be Red Bull Racing. We got some great people in, and it's changed enormously. Not only the number of staff, but the quality of staff is fantastic, and it is just a great place to work. I think the most standout moment you'd think would be the first win or the first championship. I think it was the second championship where Seb won in Brazil when he spun on the first lap and I think he was last or almost last, and we'd all given up. We were at an event up the mountains in Chile doing a show car event, watching it on a small screen. So the disappointment was unbelievable at that point. To watch him charge through the field and come back to win the championship, that's something I'll never forget.
My name is Dave Boys. I'm the race team build manager at Aston Martin Red Bull Racing, and I've been here since 2005. Obviously, so the team evolved from Stewart Grand Prix and then to Jaguar, and from Jaguar obviously into where we are now with Red Bull Racing. It's grown in terms of personnel. Obviously, there's a lot more personnel than there was then to where we are now. It's a professional outfit. It's a great team to work for. It's difficult to say. I think because it was an energy drink manufacturer, you think that maybe there isn't the drive or devotion there for us to be successful in Formula One, but that's proved to be totally wrong. I feel proud in the people that were originally here, and the people that are here now. I think that we've got a great bunch of people here. They all motivated, they all push hard, they've all driven towards the same goals, the same successes. So yeah, I'm really, really proud. Proudest moment obviously is championship wins, obviously your first race win, which is really memorable. I think for us to attract good quality drivers, for us to be successful on track, for me, my drive is that. I love the competition we do, I love the thought of us winning.